Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Plugins for Dummies by Dummy. And today's episode we're going to talk about currency fields and how currency fields calculate to give a result. And you might think it's the same as integer, but guess what? They're different. If we want to see what's different, stay tuned. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the currency A field plus the currency B field equals the result currency. Again, back to the trusty level up. Understand what fields you're trying to calculate with, because that does help a lot. So, where do we start? Well, we start off by going to GitHub again, go into the simple plugin, open up the courses, and you'll find the currency calculations. So I'm sure you're guessing what we're going to do now, right? We're going to copy paste, exactly. So we just copy paste this code and we entered it into Visual Studio, like so. So again, as you're getting used to, just to sort of teach you parts of code, this now is the exact same as our integer, but now has made a bit of a difference because now we're calculating currencies. So this time I'm calling a function called calculate sum currency. That is a different function than the integer, but the principles are kind of the same because we're doing field A and field B, but this time instead of doing field A and field B as integers, just go back here just to sort of, if you're uncertain to what I'm talking about, the currency fields here, this is a currency of 1. See that? And it can be 1.5. Sorry, that would be 1 comma. There we go. Got to make sure that we do the right, not comma, but dots here in Norwegian. So anyway, these currency fields, they allow specifics, not like this one, which is a whole number. And currency fields are different. Now we're taking currency fields and adding them together. So the difference here is that instead of having int here, we need to define them as a money field in the code. So I'm saying field A is now a money field, and I am retrieving this from the image in the record after update, which is this field. I'm getting the field from CRM. Same way I'm doing here. I'm getting the field from CRM. And then I'm doing, and this is a bit of a tricky part because you would think maybe you can just write money here and do a sum currency. Well, according to ChatGPT, this is the way to do it. So then again, this was just a decimal. A decimal supports the comma 00 values, so you can have 1.5 or 1.2 or 1.002, etc. So therefore, a decimal field is kind of the same functionality as a money field. Though further on down here, this is where it kind of gets a bit interesting because again, this is just how it is. You can't, when we add A plus B into some currency, I can't just add it down here as the decimal sum currency. I then have to make it into a money field again. And this time it's money, sum money. And then I'm basically saying that sum currency, which is up here, which is a decimal. So I'm converting a decimal to a money field. You can do shortcuts here. I'm just saying that this is just the way the ChatGPT outputted the code. I'm pretty sure that I could probably write the whole sort of decimal within here, but it's beside the point right now, okay? This is just to understand that you need to think differently when working with money fields, currency fields in CRM and integers. They are not the same. So when you ask GPT to create this code, be specific and say that this is a currency field, because otherwise it will give you incorrect code on how to add it to CRM. Again, in the last part here, it's pretty much the same thing. We're saying that what are we going to update? We're going to update an entity. We're creating that entity, and it is consistent of the plugin underscore main table, and it's going to be the ID of the record that we're clicking save on. And then we're going to say the sum money, which is now the money field that we converted from a decimal. And if I'm saying these two things too many times, just try it out. And once you start playing around with it, you might just see that some things don't need to always make sense. Again, with some programming, and it works fine. Just accept it, copy paste it, and reuse it. A lot of programming is copy pasting. And then eventually we're going to do the actual trigger to the database, making sure that we update only one field. But as you can see here, we're doing the plugin result currency field in this case, not the integer result. We're doing the currency result. So that's a big difference too. And then the people, they think, well, can't I just add this function to the other function that we already had? Yes, you can. And we could probably do that in a different video, just to say that, once we start getting control of things, we can do a final video with everything turned on, how to do that. But as for now, this is what we do. Again, we go back to upper right here. We do a build solution to compile the code. And then we open up our plugin registration tool and XRM toolbox. And this time I'm actually not going to delete the plugin because we can reuse a lot of stuff here. So I'm just going to go into the simple plugin on top. So it's marked there. I'm going to do an update. And I'm going to do load assembly because the path is already taken here from the last time we were here. And update the selected. So it says here, one assembly has been updated. So now I have new code in here. So it's not going to be working with integers. It's going to be working with decimals. What we do need to change though is I go back into the step because this is what triggers the actual plugin. And we're going to do an update. So I'm going to say here, it's not the integer A and integer B. It's going to be the currency A and the currency B. Again, I can choose all fields if I want to, but that does not make any sense. So I can still keep the A's and B's here for integers. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just a calculation. We'll just keep it. Okay, let's just make it clean. We'll do it like this: the currency A and the currency B. Okay. So that's what's going to be triggered. Or sorry, what's triggering the calculation: A or B, and or B. So we do an update, and we got to do one final step update here, and that's to the image. We go to the updates, and we're going to choose not integer A or integer B. We are going to do currency A and currency B. So that means that when we get this image, the post image, which I briefly talked about, and we will probably make a different video on just at least defining what I believe is an obvious way of looking at the pre and post images, is we're only receiving currency A and currency B. Okay, and update. Again, this is code, server-side code, so this should be live as of now. So I'm just going to go back into the plugin training. I'm going to do a refresh because that's a habit, I guess. And for the currency here, we are just going to add 10 NOK plus 40 NOK, and that should give us a total currency here. No, sorry, currency calculation of 50 NOK. We click the save button. And there we go. Again, as you see, when we work with, even though it's a post, the post image, meaning that we've actually clicked the save button, everything's being sent down to CRM, it's being stored in the CRM database, it's coming back to us, and then we create our function. And our function does the calculations and does another save to the database. All of that happens so quickly that by the time we get the refresh, this calculation has been 50. And that's kind of the cool part about plugins. And again, also the frightening thing about it, because we're going to talk about concepts later on, which are like asynchronous and synchronous, but these things are synchronous, which is very powerful, but also something you need to respect. Because if you have tons and tons and tons of calculations, you really need to think about, do they have to be live? I personally love them live, synchronous. But again, as you see, everything Microsoft, what they're trying to make you do is doing everything asynchronous, because that's just better for them, but not for me. So anyway, that was it for the currency calculations. As you can see, not big difference, but there is a marginal difference here. And it's big enough that you should respect it and understand it. All right. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next time when we are going to look at what regex is and how to manipulate a text string that we enter to give a different output. Stay tuned. Bye.